I wasn't researching underground construction. I was looking into early electrical development. Boring academic work, the kind you file away and forget. The transition from Edison's direct current to Tesla's alternating current. Who won the contract? Who lost money? Standard engineering history. But then I found the investor list for the Niagara Falls hydroelectric plant. J.P. Morgan, John Jacob Astor IV, Lord Rothschild, W.K. Vanderbilt. Personal investments, not through holding companies or investment firms. Their own money. And I stopped. Because J.P. Morgan didn't invest in experimental technology. Morgan bought railroads that already worked, steel mills with proven returns, banks that controlled governments. He invested in certainty. Yet, in 1893, Morgan personally led an investment group to fund an untested electrical system. While alternating current, the technology Edison had spent years calling dangerous, the executioner's current. Morgan had been Edison's partner for over a decade. Then, in 1893, Morgan switched sides. Not just switched, but convinced Astor, Rothschild, and Vanderbilt to join him. Millions of dollars to excavate 180 feet underground through solid rock using pickaxes and lanterns for 5 years at a waterfall. I had to know why. The official story is straightforward. In 1893, the International Niagara Commission awarded the contract to George Westinghouse and Nikola Tesla to build the world's first large-scale alternating current power plant. 3 years of construction, then November 16, 1896 at midnight, the switch was thrown. Power surged to Buffalo 26 miles away, the first large-scale electrical transmission over distance. Tesla's system worked, and within years, Niagara Falls powered New York City. Modern electrical grid, engineering triumph, American progress. That's what every textbook says. But the textbooks skip over something. They went 180 feet underground on both sides of the falls. American side and Canadian side, same depth. Why? I spent a week in archives. Hagley Library in Delaware, Buffalo and Erie County Historical Society, Niagara Falls Public Library. The American side started first from 1890 to 1896. Thomas Evershed designed it, an engineer from New York. His plan called for a massive tunnel beneath the city, 7,500 feet long and brick-lined, running from the upper Niagara River to the lower river near the suspension bridge. Water would flow from above the falls, drop through the power plant, then discharge through this tunnel beneath the city to the river below, underground and invisible. The building above ground was designed by McKim, Mead, and White, the same firm that built Pennsylvania Station, the Brooklyn Museum, the Harvard Club. They brought that prestige to Niagara Falls with rusticated stone exterior, Romanesque arches, low profile to blend with the landscape. Beautiful building. But that wasn't the real project. The real project was underneath. I found photographs from the construction. Workers standing in the tunnel, the brick arch curving above them, timber supports every few feet, lanterns hanging from posts, darkness beyond the light. One photograph has a caption that made me read it 3 times. Excavation crew, October 1894. Current depth, 180 feet. 180 feet underground. The Statue of Liberty from ground to torch is 305 feet. And this tunnel was more than halfway to that height, except down. Through Queenston shale, through limestone, through solid bedrock. With hand tools. Think about that. Hydroelectric power doesn't require depth. Waterfalls, you put turbines at the bottom, collect the spent water, return it to the river. Modern hydroelectric plants do this at surface level, maybe 20 feet down, 30 at most. You don't need to go deeper. Going deeper doesn't improve efficiency. It makes construction exponentially harder. More material to excavate, more structural support needed, more risk of collapse, more time, more money, more danger. With hand tools and lanterns, every foot deeper takes weeks. So why 180 feet? The engineering documents say optimal flow rates, gravity assistance, better discharge efficiency. Except those are solutions to problems that don't exist at surface level. You only need optimal flow rates at 180 feet if you've already decided you're going 180 feet. The depth came first, then the engineering justifications. I tried to find who decided on 180 feet. The International Niagara Commission formed in 1890, led by Lord Kelvin, inviting engineers from around the world to submit designs. No winner for 3 years. The commission couldn't decide. Too risky, too expensive, no proven technology. Then, in 1893, everything changed. Lord Kelvin personally asked George Westinghouse to use alternating current, not direct current, not Edison's proven system, Tesla's unproven design. And suddenly, the funding appeared. J.P. Morgan, John Jacob Astor IV, Lord Rothschild, W.K. Vanderbilt formed the Cataract Construction Corporation to manage the project. Within months, excavation began at 180 feet. The investor list bothered me. These weren't venture capitalists taking chances on new technology. These were the four most powerful financiers on the planet. J.P. Morgan controlled more capital than the U.S. Treasury. He could topple governments. In the panic of 1907, he personally rescued the American banking system. Jacob Astor IV was the wealthiest man in America. His family owned half of Manhattan. The Waldorf Astoria was his. He could invest in anything. Lord Rothschild, the European banking dynasty that financed Napoleon's defeat, built railroads across Europe, funded the Suez Canal. W.K. Vanderbilt's railroad empire controlled transportation across the continent. These men didn't invest in experiments. They invested in certainty. Yet they poured millions into excavating 180 feet underground at Niagara Falls to test an electrical system that had never been proven at scale. What did they know? I found the cost breakdown in the Cataract Construction Corporation records. $3.4 million in $1893, over $110 million today, for an untested technology in a remote location requiring 5 years of excavation through solid rock with hand tools. Morgan didn't make investments like that. Morgan calculated returns, demanded guarantees, controlled risk. This was the opposite of controlled risk, unless it wasn't a risk at all, unless Morgan knew something. The construction began in 1892. Thousands of workers, mostly Irish, Italian, and Eastern European immigrants. No electric lights underground, they worked by lantern. No modern drilling equipment, just hand drills, pickaxes, shovels. Dynamite for blasting, but not modern dynamite. Black powder, which was unstable and dangerous. The working conditions were brutal. Cramped spaces, poor ventilation, constant dust from the drilling and blasting, water seeping through the shale, flooding, the threat of rockfall every moment. Workers died. They had to have died from cave-ins, explosions, accidents. But I couldn't find the casualty records. I found engineering reports, technical specifications, material costs, but the human cost, missing. I spent 2 days searching for worker testimonies, diaries, letters home, newspaper interviews. Thousands of men spent 5 years underground at Niagara Falls. Some of them must have written about it, but I found almost nothing. One letter from an Irish immigrant named Patrick Brennan working on the tunnel excavation, written to his brother in Boston. The letter is dated March 1894, and 2 sentences stood out. The work takes us deeper than any man should go. We found something the engineers didn't expect. The letter ends there with no follow-up, no explanation. I searched for more letters from Patrick Brennan. Nothing. I searched for his name in immigration records, census data, death certificates. Patrick Brennan disappears from the record after March 1894. The American Side Tunnel was completed in August 1895. 7,500 feet long, 180 feet deep, brick-lined with 4 layers, reinforced with concrete. Built like a fortress. Why so strong? Water pressure doesn't require 4 layers of brick. 1 layer would work, 2 for safety. 4 layers is excessive unless you're building something that needs to last for centuries or something that needs to contain more than water. The first generator produced power on August 26, 1895. 3 months later, on November 16, 1896 at midnight, the transmission to Buffalo began. Power surged 26 miles. The Street Railway Company claimed the first 1,000 horsepower. The local power company already had orders from residents for 5,000 more. No trial period, no adjustments, no modifications. It just worked perfectly from day one, almost as if they'd known it would work, as if the design wasn't experimental at all. Within 3 years, power from Niagara Falls reached New York City. Broadway lit up, elevated railways running on Niagara electricity, the subway system. Eventually, even Edison's direct current facilities converted to alternating current. The technology Edison called dangerous became the global standard. And it all started at Niagara Falls, 180 feet underground, in tunnels that worked perfectly from the moment they were completed. Built with technology from the 1840s, pickaxes and lanterns, but performing like they were designed by someone who understood exactly what would work. The Canadian side started construction in 1901. Different company, the Canadian Niagara Power Company. Different engineers, different construction crews, but the same design and the same depth. I found the engineering paper published in 1905, written by Cecil B. Smith, the resident engineer for the Canadian project. He documented everything. Every challenge, every solution, the excavation process, the materials used, the construction timeline. Starting depth 180 feet underground, exactly the same as the American side. Read that again. 2 different countries, 2 different companies, 2 different engineering teams, 7 years apart. Both went to exactly 180 feet. Not 150 feet, not 200 feet, 180 feet. That's not coincidence, that's specification. Someone determined that both sides needed to reach 180 feet beneath Niagara Falls, and both sides did. Smith's paper describes the construction method. Workers cut a vertical shaft halfway between the powerhouse location and the river outlet, then simultaneous excavation in 3 directions. 1 crew heading toward the plant, 1 crew heading toward the river, 1 crew excavating inward from the tunnel mouth. They met in the middle, all at 180 feet below ground level. The tunnel took 4 years from 1901 to 1905. Smith documented every problem. About 2/3 through, the blasting weakened the shale so much that water from the wheel pit started leaking into the tunnel. They solved it by timbering the tail race roof and supporting the wheel pit with cast iron struts. Problem documented, solution implemented, construction continued. But Smith never documented what they encountered, only what they built. The Canadian tunnel is 2,200 feet long, shorter than the American side's 7,500 feet, but the same depth with the same fortress construction. 4 layers of brick, 18 inches of concrete beyond that, built to last centuries. When operational, the tunnel carried 71,000 gallons of water moving at 9 meters per second. And you can still see the water line on the brick walls, where chalky white marks reach almost to the top of the arched ceiling. The tunnel operated from 1905 to 2006, 101 years, with no major failures, no significant modifications. Just perfect, reliable operation. Like the American side. Like both systems were designed by someone who knew exactly how to build something that would work for a century. I went to Niagara Falls in person. The Canadian tunnel opened to the public in 2022, and you can tour it now. A glass elevator descends 180 feet. The ride takes about 30 seconds going down into the bedrock beneath Niagara Falls. The doors open to a brick-lined passageway with an arched ceiling and walls disappearing into the distance. The tunnel curves gently for 2,200 feet. I walked the entire length, and every step I kept thinking about the men who dug this over 4 years. Thousands of workers with pickaxes, shovels, and lanterns through 180 feet of solid rock. And I kept asking myself why they went so deep. Not how. Smith's engineering paper explains how. Why? The fortress construction stands out. 4 layers of brick, each layer carefully mortared, then 18 inches of concrete surrounding everything. That's not standard construction, that's overbuilt. I asked the tour guide why it was built so strong. Water pressure, she said. The volume of water moving through here required reinforced walls. Except that's not true. Modern hydroelectric tunnels don't use 4 layers of brick. They use concrete. 1 layer, maybe 2 for safety. This tunnel was built like it needed to survive something other than water. Like it needed to last forever, or like it needed to contain something. At the end of the tunnel, there's a viewing platform where the tunnel once discharged into the Niagara River, right at the base of Horseshoe Falls. Standing there with water thundering down and mist everywhere, you can see the tunnel mouth, the brick arch, the discharge point. Everything the tour guide said is true. This was a tail race tunnel where spent water from the turbines flowed through and returned to the river. Perfect engineering. But standing there, looking back into that tunnel, knowing it goes 2,200 feet through solid rock at 180 feet below ground, built with pickaxes and lanterns by workers whose names we don't have, I couldn't stop thinking about Patrick Brennan's letter. We found something the engineers didn't expect. What did they find? The American side's tunnel is still there beneath Niagara Falls, 7,500 feet at 180 feet depth. But you can't tour it. It's not open to the public, not accessible. Only the transformer house remains visible, the building above ground that's a National Historic Landmark. You can visit it, see the architecture, read the plaques about Tesla and alternating current. All true, all documented. But the plaques don't explain the tunnel underneath. Built the same way as the Canadian side with 4 layers of brick and concrete reinforcement. Still there, and still used for some infrastructure purposes, but not discussed, not open, not available. Whatever is down there stays down there. I tried to find the original excavation records. Daily logs, work reports, foreman notes, the kind of documentation that should exist for a project this massive. I found engineering reports, material inventories, cost breakdowns, but the day-to-day excavation records, missing. What did crews encounter on Tuesday, April 12th, 1893? What did they find on Thursday, September 7th, 1894? What happened the day Patrick Brennan wrote his letter? The records don't say, or the records are gone, or the records were never kept, or someone decided those records shouldn't be available. The timing bothers me. Construction started in 1892, switch thrown in 1896, 4 years to excavate 7,500 feet through solid rock at 180 feet depth using hand tools. That's impossibly fast. Modern tunnel boring machines excavate about 30 feet per day through rock with hydraulics, computer guidance, modern engineering. The Niagara Falls tunnel workers had pickaxes. Do the math. 7,500 feet in 4 years with pickaxes works out to 62 feet per day, twice the speed of modern machinery through solid rock with hand tools. Unless they weren't excavating, unless they were clearing, unless they were accessing something that was already there. I looked for any mention of pre-existing structures, natural caves, old mining operations, indigenous sites, nothing. Niagara Falls has no documented cave systems at that depth, no mining history, no archaeological sites 180 feet underground. Before 1890, Niagara Falls was a tourist destination with hotels, observation decks, parks, nothing underground. Then in 1892, the wealthiest men in the world decided to excavate 180 feet down and found exactly what they needed to build a perfect power system that worked on the first try and has worked for over a century. The Canadian side tells the same story. Construction from 1901 to 1905, 4 years for 2,200 feet at 180 feet deep. Same impossibly fast excavation rate, same fortress construction, same perfect operation from day one, same missing daily records. Cecil B. Smith's engineering paper documents the technical challenges, the solutions, the materials, the timeline, but not what they encountered during excavation, just what they built. And what they built worked perfectly for 101 years. Both sides had problems during construction. The American side dealt with water seepage, shale instability, ventilation issues. The Canadian side had water leaking from the wheel pit and shale weakening from blasting. All documented, all solved. But those are construction problems, expected issues when excavating through rock. What about unexpected discoveries? What about chambers? What about structures? What about the things Patrick Brennan mentioned? Smith's paper doesn't say. The American engineering reports don't say. Maybe because there was nothing to find, or maybe because what they found wasn't supposed to be documented. Every time someone in New York City turns on a light, there's a chance it's powered by Niagara Falls. Not the original generators, those have been upgraded, but the infrastructure, the tunnels, the systems 180 feet underground, all still there and still functional. Built in the 1890s with hand tools by workers whose testimonies we don't have, funded by investors who never explained why they chose this project at a depth that wasn't necessary, on both sides of the falls at exactly the same depth of 180 feet. The transformer house on the American side was officially named the Edward Dean Adams Power Station in 1927. Edward Dean Adams was president of the Cataract Construction Corporation, the man who organized Morgan, Astor, Rothschild, and Vanderbilt, the man who made it happen. But Adams wasn't an engineer, he was a financier, a businessman. His achievement wasn't building the plant, but convincing the wealthiest men in the world to fund it. What did he tell them? What convinced Morgan to abandon Edison and back Tesla? What made Astor invest millions in an untested technology? What made Rothschild and Vanderbilt join? Whatever Adams told them, it worked. And whatever they built at 180 feet beneath Niagara Falls is still there, still working after more than a century. You can verify everything I've told you. The investor list is confirmed. But J.P. Morgan, John Jacob Astor IV, Lord Rothschild, W.K. Vanderbilt, all documented. The depth is real, 180 feet on both sides, confirmed in engineering documents. The construction methods are documented with hand tools, lanterns, 4 years. The Canadian tunnel exists, and you can tour it today by glass elevator, 2,200 feet at 180 feet depth. Cecil B. Smith's 1905 engineering paper is available and describes the entire construction process. The American tunnel exists, still used but not open to public. Patrick Brennan's letter is in the Buffalo Historical Society archives, all of it verifiable. But the question remains, why did the 4 wealthiest men in the world personally finance the excavation of tunnels 180 feet underground beneath Niagara Falls? Why that specific depth? Why both sides the same? Why using hand tools when it made construction exponentially harder? Why did it work perfectly from day one? What did they find down there? Or what were they looking for? The tunnels, remember, even if the records don't. 4 layers of brick, 18 inches of concrete, built like fortresses, at 180 feet below ground beneath one of the most famous natural wonders in the world. Built by workers whose names we've lost. Funded by men who controlled nations. Working perfectly for over a century. Still there beneath the falls. Still underground. Still waiting like they have been since 1896, when Morgan, Astor, Rothschild, and Vanderbilt decided Niagara Falls needed to be excavated at exactly 180 feet on both sides, for reasons they never explained